Happy Wednesday, North Central Washington. Happy Wednesday, Wenatchee Valley. Happy Wednesday to everybody watching us here in television land, via TV, via the World Wide Web. Wherever you are, thanks for starting your day with us here on the NCB Live channel. This is Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. As you saw by my lower third, I'm Dan Kuntz. His lower third correctly identifies Steve Hare as news director. Kat does not have a lower third, but she is in control.
And for the first time, we're working today without a net.
No net. No net today. We pulled it out. We're going to see what we can do. The Flying Walendas are on the air. Great show for you today. Do we have a great show for them today?
Yeah, we do.
Do we? Okay, thank you. Well, now we've set the bar. First of all, it's going to be another gorgeous day. It was so hard to work yesterday. Sunshine, 76 degrees. It was perfect. Gorgeous day. Another beautiful day today.
Just no motivation to work, is there?
No, there's none whatsoever. But, you know, I got to bear down. We got work to do. I'm line producing, which means I'm in charge of the broadcast on Friday night for the Wenatchee High School commencement exercises, the 114th. I got the exact number. The 114th commencement exercises for Wenatchee High School will be broadcasting live at 8 o'clock at Leib-Bofta Field at the Apple Bowl. Of course, at 6 o'clock is Eastmont High School's graduation at the Town Toyota Center. Eastmont's first class was in 1958, so do the math. This would be their 60th in commencement exercises for Eastmont.
Saturday?
No, on Friday.
On Friday.
Friday at 6 o'clock, right?
Okay.
So Eastmont's 60th. Is that right? Yeah, I guess. The first class was class of 58, and the Wenatchee's 114th. I got the program sent to me yesterday for the Wenatchee graduation because we have to create graphics and understand how we want to go about producing the broadcast. And this was a strange number. The class of 2018, Wenatchee High School, 500, right on the money.
Wow.
Exactly. That's the amount of names that are in the program.
So how many were in your graduating class?
Exactly 300.
300. Okay.
300 right on the button. So
I had 650.
That's a lot.
But that's Southern California.
That's Southern California. Yeah. So great show for you today. In the second half, about a week ago, Steve interviewed Robert Mulder. Robert Mulder, who is running a course for the seat being vacated by Keith Gaynor. Chelan County Commission seat number 2. It's a 5-man race. Yeah. And he interviewed Robert about a week ago. We're going to play that in the second half of the show.
Mm-hmm.
This is of all the races that are going to be primarily contested on August 7th, this to me is the most fascinating one. We got 5 people running for that particular seat, and only one candidate is identifying himself with a actual organized political party, and that's Sean Smith, who's running as a Republican. We have 3 of them, Bob Boogert, Zachary Miller, and Lee Duncan, who have stated no party preference at all. And Robert, our interview later on today, is preferring the independent party. So take what you will out of that, but the more people who run, the better off we are, I've always thought.
We've got a couple of really highly competitive races. The one for the Chelan County District 2 commission seat, and of course the state House seat that's being vacated by Terry Condata.
It's going to be a fascinating primary election. Most of them are kind of snoozers. For one thing, it's in August. But no, you got to do your homework and get to know the candidates and make an informed decision.
Well, today I've got an interview scheduled for the noon hour. I've got Judge McSeveny coming in. Tomorrow I have Judge Kristen Ferreira, and they're both running in contested races as well, coming up in November.
One of the great things about having this guy, Steve Hare, who's been around the Valley for so long, is that people return his telephone calls. That's what happens when you treat people correctly and respectfully. They return the favor. You know, you're not a gonzo journalist, and that's that's one of your strong suits, I think.
Good with the softballs, anyway.
Right over the plate, just right over the plate. Mariners win. Apple Sox didn't win. We got sports in a few minutes as well. We have Today in History, the obscure holiday, birthdays. Everyone is entitled to Mike McNally's opinion.
How about those Mariners?
How about those Mariners? 2 games up on Houston. They dispatched the Astros without much problems at all. And who's kidding who? James Paxton is the ace of the staff. He kind of transitioned to that last year. He had such a great year last year. His one-loss record wasn't so good, but his ERA was really good. And nothing wrong with King Felix, but he's getting up there in age. As far as Major League pitchers are concerned, you don't really last much longer than what Felix is at, but it's looking good. Felix is pitching pretty well, much better than he did last year. Paxton is just really pitching well.
He's lights out right now. Right. And boy, they've got a darn good little pitching staff working for them now. Yeah,
they do.
Time will tell. It's only June 6th.
It's only June 6th, but there's a lot of baseball to play.
When's the last time they were in first place on June 6th? You know?
15 years ago. That was a long time ago. Let's take care of North Central Washington on another drop-dead gorgeous day. Drink in these views, ladies and gentlemen. It's as good as it gets. That's the cross camera, of course. Looks like it's zoomed in just a little bit. and pointed down just a little bit. River continues to recede further and further. I was at Walla Walla Point Park yesterday afternoon, brought a book and a sandwich down, and a friend of mine who's a general contractor, he's a commercial contractor, he was taking a quick little lunch break. He brought his dog down, he was throwing the tennis ball around, we were chatting. He goes, "We are going lights out." And I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "The weather for construction work is perfect. You know, we work from basically when it's light enough to go to work, and normally this time of the year they take heat breaks. You know, they knock off at 2:30 in the afternoon because it gets so hot. Well, they're not, because the weather's been so good. And so now he said a couple of projects that he's supervising 3. He says we're like a month ahead of schedule in all of these.
Well, there's a lot of construction going on right now. In fact, Caitlin and I yesterday were up at the airport, and a big major construction project going on out there with some kind of a warehouse, packing house or something. But that whole industrial area by Pangborn Airport is growing in leaps and bounds.
Yep, and there's apartment complexes going up and hotels going up everywhere.
That's right. We have a big data center that's having a not a groundbreaking, but a ribbon cutting, I think, on Saturday up at the airport as well.
That's good, because deep-pocketed people think that this valley has a good, bright future, and they're willing to invest in it. We like that, don't we? Camera 2, what do we got? Kat says, "Good morning to."
Wow.
Oh, now we have to. I want to hold tight. I want to say, is that #1 canyon, Kat? Yeah. That is #1 canyon. We haven't used that one in a long time.
No.
That's looking, of course, over to the lovely East Wenatchee area, I believe.
Towards the Tarpiskin.
Yeah. Well, Steve, watch your language. It's a
Clackham.
family television show. Is that I believe you can see a little bit of the mall and the Fred Meyer complex. It's kind of hard to make out. Yeah. So you can see that.
The bridge is just
Yep.
out of shot.
Yeah, you just can't quite make out the bridge. Good shot up there from #1 canyon, which has always been just a little bit better than #2 canyon, in my opinion. Camera 3 takes us to Olney Garden.
Oh, look at that shot of the Rocky Beach Dam. Spill gates open.
Almost all of them. Almost all of them are open that we can tell. When Rocky Ridge Dam opened for business in the early 1960s, that totally changed the flow of the Columbia River, didn't it? It really did change things, all for the better.
Stopped it up.
Yeah, and of course, all for the better, except if you lived in Aniat in the late 50s and early 60s, that wasn't so good for you. Your town ended up underwater, but everything worked out fine in the end. Good morning, Rocky Reach Dam. And finally, camera #4. We say hello to, that's a Rondo Rock pointed the other direction, I want to say. Am I correct,
Yeah,
Kat?
looking
And I am
towards
correct.
Turtle Rock, yeah.
Yep, you can see Turtle Rock. That's basically the back half of Rocky Ridge Dam.
And looks like a little bit of flow of traffic there on Highway 97, Douglas County.
I got to get up. That reminds me, I got to get up and play Desert Canyon while the weather is still good. So, great views this morning.
Pretty.
God's
Gosh.
country. Are you ready for a forecast you're going to like until we get to Saturday and Sunday? Here it is. They say don't editorialize on the weather. I don't care. I'm going to editorialize on it. A little bit warmer today, a little bit of a warming trend through the rest of the work week. High temperatures peaking basically on Thursday. It's going to cool down a little bit on Friday, but not very much. In fact, for Friday night for outdoor graduation, it looks just about perfect. Friday night, after everybody is done and in bed, is when the system is going to roll in. Saturday and Sunday, we're going to cool down quite a bit and cloud up quite a bit. Going to get a little bit of rain on Saturday, as a matter of fact, and a high of 69. Sunday, we make a transition back to fairly pleasant weather, especially by Sunday afternoon, and then Monday and Tuesday. We're right back up to where we should be. Yesterday's high is 76, normal temperature for Tuesday, June 5th, 76. Couldn't have got much more normal than that. So the rest of the work week looks fine, slightly cooler, and maybe a little bit of rain coming your way Friday night through Saturday afternoon. I got no complaints about that. And I know you don't like the heat, so you're probably pretty happy.
Well, you know, I'd rather have heat than cold.
Yeah, I've always been that way. I would much rather be hot than cold. Yeah, I find it easier to cool down than warm up. That's just me. 9 minutes after the hour. What happened on Tuesday? Quite a bit. The news with Steve Hare is next on the agenda. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley live this morning from Studio 15 in downtown Wenatchee on the NCW Life Channel.
What's your mocha emergency?
It's a Frappuccino mocha with whip.
The espresso shakes are my most favorite because I can get any flavor. Peanut butter chocolate for pita.
Definitely the espresso shakes.
My favorite is the mocha for pitas.
A peach Red Bull.
Join the NCW Live channel for live coverage of Eastmont and Wenatchee High School commencement ceremonies Friday, June 8th.
Coverage brought to you by Hometown Hearing across the mall on Valley Mall Parkway. Columbia Valley Community Health with 9 locations in the greater Wenatchee and Chelan area. And by Leonard Evans Used Car Superstore, with a name means a great deal.
Live Friday, June 8th, Eastmont High's graduation at 6, followed by Wenatchee High's graduation at 8, exclusively on the NCW Live channel.
And now it's time for your local news update with Steve Hare.
And on this Wednesday, June 6, 2018, welcome to the program. Here's some of the stories we're following around north central Washington today. Well, the top brass from 3 Chelan County agencies met yesterday at the Confluence Technology Center in Wenatchee for a Tri-Commission meeting, and the future of Alcoa's Wenatchee Works idled smelter was among the topics discussed. NCW Life's Grant Olson attended the meeting, and he filed this report.
Representatives were on hand from Chelan County, the Chelan County Port District, and the Chelan County PUD. Updates were presented on topics such as Pangbourne Airport's long-term financial sustainability, the Cashmere Mill site, the proposed county PUD partnership for electrical service, cryptocurrency miners, and energy demand. Also featured was an update from Chelan PUD General Manager Steve Wright on the status of the Alcoa Wenatchee Works facility. Wright says the PUD and Alcoa are currently in talks to determine whether Alcoa will pay the PUD tens of millions of dollars or whether they will start back up.
Well, we're about a couple of weeks away from a big deadline in the contract when they need to be operating, or else they owe us the $62 million. At this point, they don't have a proposal on the table. So we have invoiced them. They know that they've got the invoice. We're waiting to see what they will do with that. We're in conversations with them, and we'll just see how it plays out.
The Tri-Commission meeting also featured comments by Chelan County mayors from Wenatchee, Chelan, Leavenworth, and Eniat. Grant Olson, NCW Life News.
And more on the Alcoa power contract with the PUD. Under that current agreement, if the Wenatchee Works plant remains closed through the end of this month, a $62 million deferred power contract charge would become due. Meanwhile, 400 employees remain laid off when Alcoa's production was curtailed back in 2015. A 48-year-old Quincy man was killed and a woman received serious injuries in a one-vehicle collision that occurred Sunday night. Just getting the details on this accident now. Jose Lozano was the passenger in a car driven by 48-year-old Angela Anaya of Quincy. Now, deputies say Anaya was driving at a high rate of speed on Road P Northwest when she failed to negotiate a curve. The Cadillac she was driving tripped, rolled 4 times, ejecting Lozano, who was not wearing a seatbelt. Anaya was injured but able to walk, apparently, to her Quincy home. There, she was then driven by a friend to Quincy Valley Medical Center. Meanwhile, a deputy found Lozano dead at the scene around 3 a.m. It took him 3 hours, apparently, to even find the accident scene. They were giving confusing instructions on where it was by the driver of that vehicle. Anaya was later transferred to a regional hospital where she was admitted in serious condition with a fractured skull. Alcohol and excessive speed contributed to that collision, according to the Grant County Sheriff's Office. Well, with a coverage area encompassing millions of acres, almost 50% of Washington state, the Central Washington Interagency Communications Center, also called SWIC, is the hub for dispatching and resourcing local and state agencies during the fire season. NCW Live visited the center to learn more about its operations and the demands of the job.
This is preseason. It's been an early preseason. We've had a lot of fires up to this point, but our staffing consists of 5 consoles for each geographic area.
Actually, 10 Foxtrot on National, copy.
Helicopter 339 was off the ground at 09:56 with a 45-minute ETE.
We come in the morning and we don't know what time we're going home at night. 12, 14-hour days. We try to keep it to somewhere in that vicinity. Our fire season's busy, I would say, probably from the 1st of July. It's getting longer. We're busy right now a little bit, but some seasons will run into the end of October. It does seem to be they're starting earlier and lasting longer before we get the weather in the fall that kind of puts us out of business for a little while.
Fascinating tour we had yesterday up at the Pangbourne Airport SWIC facility, and of course, tune in later today on our 5 o'clock NCW Live Evening News with Grant Olson for the full feature that we produced on the CWICC. SWIC, or the Central Washington Interagency Communications Center, is a key agency in dispatching and resourcing fire incidents throughout north central Washington. Also, U.S. apple growers are targeted with tariffs as Mexico retaliates against Trump administration's foreign trade policies. Mexico announced yesterday it will levy tariffs on imports of U.S. products. The order stipulates charges of 15% to 25% on U.S. farm goods, including pork, cheese, apples, potatoes, bourbon whiskey, and cranberries. The move follows a U.S. decision to impose tariffs on imports of Mexican steel and aluminum purchases, which took effect on Friday. Washington exports apples valued at $200 million to $250 million to Mexico every year. It represents 10% of its total market. It is our state's largest export market. Washington Apple Commission President Todd Fryover talked to NCW Life News earlier this year about the prospects of a possible trade war and how it could upset the apple cart.
You know, the Washington apple industry, as maybe some of your viewers don't realize, is heavily dependent upon trade. A third of our product goes to over 60 countries around the world. And this year we expect to ship over 40 million bushels to those 60 markets. So we're very heavily dependent upon trade, and it really is the backbone to keeping growers successful financially to have those outlets in those foreign markets.
And finally, also on the fruit front, Stemilt Growers is pitching a relatively new variety of cherry this season. They call the Skylar Ray cherry one of the sweetest you'll ever eat, and it has Wenatchee connections.
Welcome to Wenatchee, Washington, a region where cherry orchards thrive atop hillside canyons. It is in this beautiful locale that my family has proudly grown cherries for more than a century.
Hi, my name is Wes Matheson, and I'm a fifth-generation farmer and one of the family owners at Stemilt Growers. At Stemilt, we're constantly seeking for new cherry varieties that will delight the taste buds. But there's one new cherry discovery in particular that has captured our attention and our hearts.
On a stormy morning in 2005, the Toftness family was tending to its orchard when a rainbow appeared above their cherry trees. Troy and Kim viewed this rainbow as a symbol that their late daughter, Skylar Ray, would always be near. Not too far from where the rainbow had shone, Troy found a unique tree and a block of red cherries. He had decided to cut down the tree, but refrained because as he got closer, he noticed it was bearing cherries unlike anything he had seen before. A chance discovery like Troy's is a rare event in nature, and the significant new cherry it uncovered even rarer. Today, this gift from nature is best known by its trademark name, Skylar Ray. A Stemilt Growers exclusive, Skylar Ray cherries are now cultivated across our central Washington orchards. This golden cherry with the vibrant orange-red blush thrives in the warm Washington sunshine and is harvested every June and July. Skylar Ray cherries defy the rules when it comes to sweetness, with a firmness that is unexpectedly crisp and juicy with a rush of sugars in every bite.
From our Stemilt family to yours, we are proud to share the experience of this special cherry.
Skylar Ray cherries from Stemilt. They're quite possibly the sweetest cherry you'll ever eat.
Pretty neat, huh?
Yeah, I'll have to check them out.
I'll have to try one of those Skylar Ray cherries because it kind of looks a little bit like a Rainier, doesn't it?
Yeah, it has a different color.
Yeah,
and it looks, and maybe the video was deceiving, but it looks physically larger than those cherries. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, looking at maybe a smaller crop this year of cherries, but nevertheless, the quality is always good.
Yeah, that's what you need. Yeah, quality. Have you been to the Stemilt retail store lately? It's a great place.
Oh gosh, I go there a lot.
Yeah, it's a really good place out there in Old Station on the way up to Chelan 97A. It's a great place. Check it out. You really do. 20 minutes after the hour, don't forget the news. A couple of programming reminders. First of all, the news with Grant Olson comes your way at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 10 o'clock. That's your 3 chances to get caught up on the day's event. Grant on the in the anchor chairs, and of course, Eric Granstrom handles sports. 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 10 o'clock. Available on demand late in the afternoon, early in the evening on our website at ncwlife.com. And a reminder, it's going to be a big night, Friday night for all of us. We're going to go about 4.5 hours of commercial-free television.
Yeah.
Yeah. Eastmont High School's commencement exercises will be broadcast live at the Town Toyota Center beginning at 6 o'clock sharp. On Friday night, it'll wrap up at about 7:45, 7:50 or so. We'll take a quick break, and then we'll pick up the Wenatchee High School commencement exercises, the 114th commencement exercises for Wenatchee High School. We will begin that live at 8 o'clock sharp at Lee Boffield Field at the Apple Bowl. That takes a little bit longer. That takes about 2 hours. In fact, I looked at last year's commencement exercises for the class of 2017 so we can make our notes and get ready to go for Friday night. It lasted exactly 2 hours. It was amazing. It was like
nicely orchestrated.
Yeah, it was well done. So anyway, don't forget. So if you don't want to deal with the crowds, or you have somebody from out of town who can't make it up to the big city to watch your kid or your grandkid or whoever it may be commence to exercise, you can watch it live in high definition right here on this television station. And don't forget to be a part of our family. Don't forget to be a part of our television family. You can do it, right, Steve?
That's right. We're always looking for ideas for news stories, so please let us know about it. There's any number of ways you can communicate with us. First of all, on our website, ncwlife.com, just click the little tab at the top of the page that says Contact Us, and talk to us on Facebook, Twitter as well. Email us. Our address is news@ncwlife.com. And as always, if you see breaking news occurring, give us a call on our hotline. That's 888-6295. That's 888-NCWL.
Or you can call Steve's cell phone. His number is 2. You got one of the very first cell phones. It's 54 degrees and sunshine outside of our studios. High today of 82 and a good-looking week until we hit a little bump in the road on the weekend. What do you do? 22 minutes after the hour. Sports is next. You're watching Wake Up in Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Life channel.
I'm Grant Olson, and you're watching the NCW Life channel.
I'm Eric Granstrom with NCW Life Sports.
I'm NCW Life News Director Steve Hare.
Catch us on Local Tel Channel 12.
You can watch us on Charter Channel 19 or stream us live on ncwlife.com.
Follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook.
Where we cover the local high schools, the Wenatchee Wild, and the pro teams out of Seattle.
On Saturday, we have a 90% chance of rain.
Catch it all right here on the NCW Life channel.
It's a free walk-in job search assistance center. It is designed to help job seekers with the tools that they need to find a job. We have partnered with libraries in 5 other cities, providing the same types of services that we offer here, just there.
Just walk in, we have laptops, and we can help you with resume, cover letter.
All of our services are paid for by the revenues earned in our store. Goodwill is just a tool that the community is using to help their neighbors find a job. Goodwill, there's more behind the store.
All right, let's get to it. Sports on this Wednesday morning. Apple Sox scored 5 runs in the first inning, but believe it or not, they could not hold on, and they lost their home opener last night to the River City Athletics. It was a non-league game. The final was 8-7. Andrew Vargas had an RBI double in the top of the 9th, and that broke the 7-7 tie, and it gave the visitors the victory. Wenatchee was able to get 2 on in the bottom of the 9th, but the rally fell just short when Mason Marenko lined out to right field. Jordan Rathbone highlighted the night offensively for the Apple Sox. He went 3 for 5, an RBI, scored a run. Kashmir grad Tyler Chipman got the start on the mound for Wenatchee. He went 3 2/3 innings. He allowed 6 runs, 4 hits, and 8 walks. Carver Pate tagged with the loss. He went 2 innings, and he was the one who allowed the winning run in the top of the 9th inning. Wenatchee will be home again tonight. Another non-league game. The Northwest Honkers are in town. 7:05 first pitch. Also a West Coast League play from last night. Bellingham shut out Walla Walla 1-0. Port Angeles beat up on Bend 16-2. Victoria doubled up on Yakima Valley, as you see on your screen. The Portland Pickles got a 4-3 win on the road at Cowlitz. The schedule tonight has Yakima Valley at Victoria, Walla Walla at Bellingham, Portland is at Cowlitz, Corvallis is at Kelowna, Bend hosts Port Angeles. All those games start at 6:35. Wenatchee's game is at 7:05. Well, the Huskies, their bid for the national championship fell short last night. Florida State knocked them off The final was 8-3. UW got off to a great start. They plated 3 runs in the first inning, but the Dogs got no more offense going against Florida State's pitcher, Megan King. She's pitching for the 4th consecutive day. They can do that in softball. King allowed just 1 earned run and 5 hits, struck out for the Seminoles, belted 3 home runs in the game to win the school's first ever Women's College Softball World Series Championship. In fact, it's the first ever championship for the Atlantic Coast Conference. Kyle Seager's 3-run home run highlighted the 4-run first inning. The Mariners in Houston knocked them off. Nicely done. 7-1. Mike Zunino hit a 2-run blast to left in the second to back up James Paxton on the mound. The Big Maple went good again. 7 2/3 innings, just 1 run, 9 hits, struck out 6. Manager Scott Service said it was great to put some early runs on the board because they were taking on one of the best pitchers in baseball, Dallas Keuchel.
Anytime guys are established starters like Dallas is, you're going to jump on them early, and our guys are ready to go tonight. We were prepared, and the off day helped us a little bit getting down here early and getting settled in. So off to a good start on this road trip. Again, name of the game's pitching for us lately, and then Paxton was awesome tonight, which is great to see. He got the secondary stuff. I think Houston had a game plan against him, but Pax really executed. Got his 2-seamer going tonight. We hadn't seen that in a while. It had been a lot of 4-seam fastballs and riding the ball up, and they were staying off it. Went to the 2-seamer and had a lot of success with it.
Mariners now have a 2-game lead over Houston in the American League West. Those 2 teams play again today at 5:10. Again down in Houston, Wade LeBlanc will toe the rubber. He'll take on Lance McCullers Jr. Elsewhere in the American League West, here are your finals from last night. Texas beat Oakland 7-4. Angels shut out Kansas City 1-0. Seattle is now 38-22. Yeah, 2 games in front of Houston, 5 in front of Los Angeles in the American League West. 26 minutes after the hour, the obscure holiday of the day today. The first Wednesday in June is always National Running Day. Yeah, go out and run today. If anybody sees me running or even jogging, that means somebody's chasing me. I used to be a pretty good runner. I gave that up. I don't know why. Fun facts about runners and running. Runners who run between 12 to 19 miles a week have a stronger immune system. Runners who run over 50 miles a week are more likely to develop respiratory illnesses. You use over 200 muscles just to take a step when you run. And my favorite fun fact, 1 billion running shoes are sold annually around the world. There are all kinds of options available to you to run. Now remember, if you decide you're going to take up running as an option, see your physician, get a checkup, make sure you're healthy enough to begin an exercise program. Go out and run today on this National Running Day. Today in history, 5 events. June 6th is a big day in history, including for the city of Seattle. This is the 129th anniversary of the Great Seattle Fire. Downtown Seattle, all of it wiped out. 25 city blocks. Every wharf and every mill from Union Street to Jackson Street went down as well. Nobody knows how many people died. Nobody kept any statistics on it, but it was apparently quite low. They estimated about 1 million rats were killed in the Great Seattle Fire. They didn't waste any time. They simply rebuilt Seattle very, very quickly. In the matter of just a couple of years, over 400 buildings were constructed over the ruins of the Great Seattle Fire, June 6th, 1889. Today is the anniversary of the drive-in theater. There you go. The very first drive-in theater opened in Camden, New Jersey on June 6, 1933, 85 years ago today. The biggest problem with drive-in movies in the early 1930s wasn't projecting onto the screen. That was no problem. It was sound. How did you get the sound to the automobiles? What they did is they had great big loudspeakers just scattered all over the place. It took them quite a while to figure out they could put little speakers in the cars, and of course eventually it was just your radio. At the peak of drive-ins popularities in the late 1950s, there were about over 4,000 drive-ins in the United States. Now we're down to about 330 in the United States. Here in the Wenatchee Valley, we got a couple of them. I think everybody remembers the Voodale, but also there was the Mountain View Drive-In out in Kashmir. Drive-ins, unfortunately, are declining for any number of reasons. They have a short lifespan. You can only show movies when it's dark and the weather is nice. That limits you. And of course, drive-in theaters themselves take up a lot of real estate. Drive-in movies, they're 85 years old today. D-Day, June 6, 1944. The largest amphibious military operation in history. 155,000 Allied troops storm the beaches of Normandy in France, codenamed Operation Overlord, and the beginning of the end of Nazi Germany began on D-Day, 74 years ago today. We did this yesterday when RFK, Robert F. Kennedy, was shot. This was the 50th anniversary of the day that he died, June 6th, 1968. 26 hours after getting shot 3 times by Sirhan, Robert F. Kennedy, Democratic senator from New York City, died from the gunshot wounds. June 6, 1968, 50 years ago today. And you would think after 23 years and 1,088 shows, the last Ed Sullivan Show would be big. A really big show to close out the show. It wasn't the case. That's the actual TV Guide listing from June 6, 1971. It was a rerun of the Ed Sullivan Show, 8 o'clock, Sunday night on the CBS television network. Nobody knew it at the time. A couple people at CBS probably knew. Ed didn't know. But it'd be the final Ed Sullivan Show, a strangely anticlimactic run from one of the most iconic shows in American television history. The last Ed Sullivan Show aired on network television on this date in 1971. And 30 minutes after the hour, birthdays. America's first spy, Nathan Hale. I suppose he was a pretty good spy until he got caught. You're not supposed to get caught. Of course, he was captured by the British. He was executed. He was only 21 years old. He was born June 6, 1755. Of course, always known for his last words before he was hanged in downtown Boston. And it is this: I only regret that I have but one life to lose for my country. Nathan Hale, American soldier and the first spy in American history, born on this date in 1755. The man who started the great lineage of Yankee catchers, Bill Dickey, was born June 6, 1907. Played for the Yankees for 19 years, managed the Yankees for a short time after that. He was Lou Gehrig's best friend, his roommate on the road, and he began the long line of great Yankee catchers, from Bill Dickey to Yogi Berra to Elston Howard to Thurman Munson to Jorge Posada to the current catcher Gary Sanchez. It began with that gentleman, Bill Dickey, a great baseball player, died in 1993 at the age of 86. And Bjorn Borg is 62 years old today, considered by many to be one of the greatest tennis players, if not the greatest tennis player, male tennis player ever. He's got a pretty good record, never won the U.S. Open. That's hard to believe. Bjorn Borg is 62 years old today. 32 minutes after the hour, everybody is entitled to Mike Magnotti's opinion. We'll find out what's on Mike's mind in just a couple of minutes. And then Steve Hare and his sit-down with Robert Mulder, who was running for Chelan County Commission District 2 seat being vacated by Keith Gaynor. He's got 4 other opponents. There's 5 people in this race for the August 7th primary. You're going to get to know all of them. And Steve's conversation with Robert is also on deck. When we come back, you're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Life channel.
This is the NCW Life Community Calendar, brought to you by LocalTel. The Sage and Son Family Festival is June 8th to June 9th in Ephrata. This event is full of activities that connect the community and includes a majority of Northwest entertainment and vendors. The Wenatchee Valley Farmers Market is every Saturday at Pybus Market from 8 to 1 until October 27th. Eat healthy, eat local, and come support your local growers and producers. For more information, visit ncwlife.com.
Hi everyone, Brent. Hey, don't mind, we're just making a commercial here, Randall. You're okay. Hi everyone, Brent here. You're gonna love this. When you see this, come down and see us behind Nissan. I can do it. I can do it. The all-new 2018 Nissan. That's done, I'm done. We can't do it. Come down and see us at Town Nissan behind Costco in East Wenatchee. Better performance, better.
I definitely recommend them for new floors.
They made it so easy.
It looks like a whole new house.
Great service, great prices.
Want a recommendation before you buy new carpets or floors? Don't take our word for it, just listen to our customers.
And they guarantee their work for life.
Flooring America, where friends send friends. Select pet-friendly, kid-friendly, oops-friendly carpet and floors are on sale now.
I have a doctor who knows what they're talking about.
It's just so much more hands-on and friendly than anywhere else I've ever been.
It's really great to walk into somewhere where you feel welcomed and you feel accepted.
We've just been grateful for the care and respect that we've been given there.
And here when I come to visit my doctor, I'm not afraid to ask questions.
It's not just about getting you in and out.
I love my care at CVCH. It's awesome. Give it a try.
Are you raising a grandchild or another relative's child? If so, kinship programs may be available for your family. Kinship care is the full-time care of children by relatives. Kinship care maintains family, cultural, and community ties. It's the oldest form of family preservation and an important safety net for children whose parents are either unable or unwilling to care for them. To learn more about kinship care or to find a support group near you, please contact Aging and Adult Care of Central Washington.
Hey, this is Mike Mad Dog Magnotti, and everybody is entitled to my opinion. Now, my day job is doing mental health and relationship counseling. And you know what causes a lot of mental health issues and contributes to people not being happy? Human beings have a strong urge to justify themselves, to feel like what they did or said was okay, even when they realize it wasn't. Now, if they were just honest with ourselves, okay, if we would just admit that sometimes we made a mistake or even deliberately did or said something wrong rather than trying to justify it, maybe we should just say we're sorry. People would have a lot more internal peace of mind if instead of trying to make excuses, we just say, hey, I screwed up and I'll try to do better next time. I've had practice in that. This is Mike Mad Dog Magnotti, and that's my opinion.
The NCW Live Channel is your home for local news, local weather, and events including live local high school sports. Watch inspiring local shows featuring local people. Don't miss Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. Let's learn. Guada TV. Street Talk and Other Stuff. The 12th District. Life with Lisa. And the Arbiter of Stoke. NCW Live Channel is your local TV station.
We're here to celebrate every season with award-winning dining, full-service spa, and 170 waterfront guest rooms. Come experience our tradition of hospitality at Campbell's Resort on Lake Chelan.
When you call Dick's Heating and Air Conditioning, you get 35 years of experience and customer service in the Wenatchee Valley. Dick's friendly staff strongly believe in repairing before replacing and service all major brands of HVAC units. Dick's Heating and Air Conditioning is your local, independent, trained comfort specialists, proudly serving all of North Central Washington. Call 884-6444 today.
Join us for Street Talk and Other Stuff with Mike Magnotti on the NCW Life Channel. This former police sergeant is plugged into not only the world of the streets, he's an actor and connoisseur of the arts. So join Mike and his guest for, well, Street Talk and Other Stuff. Mondays at 10 a.m., Tuesdays and Thursdays at 2 p.m., and Wednesdays at 5:30. It's Street Talk and Other Stuff with Mike Magnotti on the NCW Life Channel.
The election campaign season now is in full swing following the filing of candidates for the upcoming fall elections. We have a candidate joining us right now at NCW Life News. His name is Robert Mulder, and he's a candidate seeking election to the Chelan County Board of Commissioners, representing District 2, which is mostly the Upper Valley. That seat being vacated by Keith Gaynor. Mr. Mulder, I'm just meeting you, as a matter of fact, although you've been living in the Wenatchee area for quite some time. You have a background in law enforcement. Here's your opportunity to state your case to the voters of Chelan County on NCW Live.
Well, I actually moved here a little over 10 years ago, and by means of working for the U.S. Forest Service. And I had a job in the supervisor's office here in Wenatchee. And I was fortunate enough to find a home to live in Kashmir. And as we were just talking about,
yeah, that was an ordeal too, huh?
It was. I really feel fortunate to have found a home. I think finding homes in the market price range of wage earners up and down the valley is becoming more and more difficult, and that's certainly an issue that I'm concerned about, and might be become more and more important to my campaign as I try to connect with voters up and down the Wenatchee Valley.
Let's talk about your background. Mostly, your resume reads like a lot of law enforcement experience here. Again, Forest Service.
Yeah. Well, so I'd like to back up and
Sure.
talk about my background. You know, really in its beginnings. After graduating from high school in a small town in South Dakota that is an agricultural-based community. I went off and served in the U.S. Army. After getting out of the Army and being honorably discharged, that was really by the means that I was able to attend the University of South Dakota and get a degree in criminal justice studies with a minor in political science. So you might say the seeds of serving in government office were planted early in my education and formative years.
What drew you towards that career path?
Well, having served as a military policeman in the Army, I ended up seeking employment at as a deputy sheriff at the county sheriff's office, actually in my hometown. And I honestly didn't think that I was going to leave hometown and go to school, but you've got to grab the tiger by the tail, so to say, and take opportunity where it presents itself. I ended up leaving the deputy sheriff's position and working as a municipal officer in the university town of Vermillion, South Dakota. But I eventually found my way into what collectively we refer to as land management agencies, and I found that there was an opportunity to work for the National Park Service. I worked for the National Park Service in South Dakota at Mount Rushmore.
Oh, really?
And then Devil's Tower, and that opportunity led me to southern Nevada, where I lived in the small town of Boulder City, Nevada.
Outside of Las Vegas.
Yeah, and I worked at the Lake Mead National Recreation Area. It's an area of water and land on the Arizona-Nevada border. And coincidentally, I feel like that's where a lot of the experiences that I feel that I'm bringing to this position that I'm seeking have been learned. There's a large urban center of Las Vegas that has impacts on the small community of Boulder City that I lived in. And so I think that our community is experiencing some growing pains, that I've observed how other communities have dealt with these issues. And I want to bring that knowledge and experience to this opportunity.
So you have background and experience, let's say, not only in law enforcement, but in land management as well, land use restrictions and such. And that sounds like it would translate well into a county commissioner position.
Yeah, we have a lot of public lands in our county. Some people would try to espouse that the county border ends at the Forest Service boundary. Well, it really doesn't. Our county is very large. It goes all the way up to the crest of the Cascade Range and all the way down to the Columbia River. And we do have a lot of public lands that are managed. I think that my public lands experience is going to suit itself well for this position as well. And then, having worked specifically in law enforcement for these agencies, we have a lot of community services that the county provides. EMS, fire, law enforcement primarily are ones that I've had firsthand knowledge and experience in.
Now, in your former positions with the Forest Service and the Park Service, what was your experience in working with other, let's say, entities, other government entities, such as local and state government, county?
Well, really quite specific to this opportunity, in my capacity, although I was assigned to the Wenatchee office, I worked with counties, 7 different counties in central and northeastern Washington, and those counties had interface with the Colville, Okanagan, and Wenatchee National Forest land areas. And of course I supervised employees, public servants that were scattered over that 7-county area that were working cooperatively with county governments. And part of my responsibility was to engage with county governments to administer contracts so that we could work cooperatively together on law enforcement issues affecting the citizens of each of those counties.
You're walking into a position here that, if elected, you would be dealing with some pretty controversial issues relating to publicly owned lands. I know one of them being currently the 8 Mile Dam issue up in the Alpine Lakes Wilderness. There's obviously some challenges in getting repairs made to that Central Dam up there, but you're running into some wilderness land use restrictions there. There's also the issue of the grizzly bears being reintroduced into the North Cascades. How do you deal with that? Obviously, you come into these issues with a different perspective and maybe a broader perspective.
I would certainly agree with that. I do have the fortune of having worked with agencies that are tackling these issues. That's probably the biggest hurdle of this position. It's about bringing people together, different agencies with different perspectives and different priorities together to reach a resolution and effective leadership forward on some of these issues. It's funny that you mentioned the 8 Mile Creek and the drainage issues. You know, that honestly speaks to one of my platforms, and that is, that's not something that just happened overnight. And frequently what I see is we're not doing preventative engagement on issues, we're waiting till it's a crisis. And everybody knows that if you don't invest in prevention, it costs more to respond in an emergency fashion. And I just have to question, you know, why weren't we engaged on the spillway being clogged? You know, this seems to have been a recurring problem. We've known that it's there, and instead we wait until the spring runoff when it becomes a crisis. And of course, contracting for services to repair things when it's an emergency crisis, you know, the costs go up exponentially, and that's a cost that's passed on to the taxpayers and the citizens of this district. We need to really be proactive. We need to be looking forward so that we can be responsive to emerging issues before it becomes a crisis.
So do you think the current board was delinquent in not addressing this earlier?
I don't know that the word delinquent is the right word, but it clearly, if we look back in some of the media sources, this isn't the first time that this has been reported as a potential issue. I just think that we could have invested more time up front, let's say in the fall, when there's not heavy runoff, to deal with the problem at a significant cost savings to the taxpayers.
Okay, let's talk about Robert Mulder as a commissioner and steward of taxpayer money.
Well, I feel I alone am the one person that has experience managing taxpayer dollars. I've had to do that, well, in the last 10 years, from 2009 when I arrived in the community to when I just recently left about 18 months ago. You know, we were doing that under constraining federal budgets, and so we had to eke as much as we could out of every dollar to make sure that it was effectively spent. So my values, growing up in an agricultural community, I certainly am a conservative. I think that the citizens deserve the most for their dollar, and I've had to do that. I have demonstrated experience managing tax dollars, which really sets me apart from some of the other candidates. A lot of the other candidates are coming into the race with private business experience, and spending private money is markedly different than spending tax dollars.
We're talking right now with Robert Mulder, candidate for District 2 position on the Chelan County Board of Commissioners. Your private life, let's talk about that for a second. Your family.
Well, I've recently remarried. I had another marriage that didn't quite work out, and so I found my lovely wife recently here in the local community. She actually grew up in Battleground, and it's been such a joy to find a meaningful relationship, and my wife and I plan on living in Kashmir, you know, for the foreseeable future.
As a commissioner too, you're also required to represent the commission on various boards, governing boards, Link, mental health, the health district, and what have you. Is there anything that you're particularly interested in that you feel that you might best serve the county?
I think that there are a lot of urban pressures from communities on the west side that are going to cause an emerging problem of potential homelessness. I see more and more people that don't seem to have a means to support themselves showing up in our communities. That's a problem that needs to be addressed. In my last position before I left the Forest Service, I actually happened to have an opportunity to speak with the mental health board and represent the Forest Service, because we do have a lot of homelessness impacts on our public lands as well. And that's why I was invited to that forum. That would be an issue that I'm certainly concerned about. And I might add that we have a lot of wage earners that work up and down the valley that support our vibrant community and all the small businesses throughout the community. And many of them, I hear, are struggling to basically save enough money to be able to make a down payment on a home. And home costs are rising, and that only exacerbates the problem. Some of the people that I visited with and some of the small businesses talk about that their workers have no place to even live where they can afford rent. And people are, and I just found this out the other day, there are people living in cars but yet have jobs to support some of our small businesses in the local area. That's not really a situation that I think that we want to continue to grow out of control.
Well, that is a big challenge, and certainly one of the big obstacles towards economic development in this area as well. How do you see yourself working with, let's say, some of the other jurisdictions, Douglas County, Grant County?
Well, I think that my experience that I spoke to previously, having worked with other counties already, is going to lend itself to being able to be engaging on issues that affect our region, let alone just our county. It is about bringing people together that have a vested interest in working together on these issues that affect our community. We want to maintain the vibrant communities that make our quality of life so appealing here, why we've all chose to live and stay here. And we really do need a level of engagement with all agencies.
Robert Mulder, candidate for Chelan County Commissioner, I'll give you the last word. Is there anything you'd like to add into our conversation here that you'd like to share with our viewers?
Well, I would just say that we have a number of people that need a representation at our local government level. Certainly there are a lot of wage earners that support our vibrant industry, our small businesses up and down the valley, and they need to have a voice in local government. Far too often, it seems like our government representatives at local government are coming from only one genre of experience. And I would hope that the citizens of the county, and particularly District 2, would see that I have a broad experience, having lived in a number of different communities, that there are progressive views based on conservative values that we can tackle many of the emerging problems that our community is struggling to deal with.
Well, it's a packed house. We've got 5 candidates seeking election to that particular office. The August primary will whittle that down to the top 2 candidates. And in the primary, it's just the District 2 voters that will be voting. But then when the top 2 vote getters advance to November, it becomes a county-wide vote. So we wish you the best of luck in your campaign, and well, good luck to you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your taking time out to talk to us.
Absolutely.
You betcha. Robert Mulder, seeking election to the Chelan County Board of Commissioners. I'm Steve Hare, NCW Life News.
Join the NCW Life channel for live coverage of Eastmont and Wenatchee High School commencement ceremonies Friday, June 8th.
Coverage brought to you by the Walkabout Grill in Wenatchee and outdoor seating in Leavenworth. Young Bucks Landscaping and Tree Service, save a buck. And by Automoca with 6 locations in the valley to serve you.
Live Friday, June 8th, Eastmont High's graduation at 6, followed by Wenatchee High's graduation at 8, exclusively on the NCW Life channel.
Family means something in these parts. Family owned and operated means even more. At Rose Tractor, you're buying more than a product. You're buying years of knowledge through multiple generations. It means you can count on Rose for quality products, quality repairs, and folks who stand behind the products they sell. From your job site to your home, to rentals and repairs, to new outdoor power equipment, Rose Tractor is growing with you throughout the years. Rose Tractor, quality brands you can trust year after year.
The all-new Yamaha Wolverine X4 offers 4 times the proven off-road capability, 4 times the comfort, and 4 times the confidence to deliver 4 times the excitement on your next outdoor adventure.
Vominos junk haulers, big or small, they haul it all. Vominos junk haulers are experienced at hauling junk from your household items to yard and construction debris. That old hot tub and eyesore, Vominos, will make it Vominos. Recycling is a priority to Vominos junk haulers. They'll haul away your old appliances and electronics. And for the do-it-yourselfers, Vominos Junk Haulers also rents trucks and trailers. Call Vominos Junk Haulers and Moving Service today to schedule your free estimate.
Boating certainly has improved over the years. Check out the new Centurion boats with HD touch vision system and built-in coolers. Centurion is loaded with extras to make boating more fun and more comfortable. Get the best out of summer. Get your boat from Bobfile Boats and Motors. Online at bobfile.com and on Sunset Highway in East Wenatchee.
Bobfile Boats and Motors, we're dealing. Bobfile's gonna make you smile.
And welcome back on this Wednesday edition of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley, 6th day of June 2018. Dan Kuntz, rejoining me is our news director, Steve here. What are you doing with toad?
Is that a toad or a mushroom? I can't
It's a
tell.
mushroom.
It's a mushroom.
It's a
It's
mushroom.
that time of the year, you know.
Yes, it's a toadstool. That's the name, toad.
I understand that there's a bounty of morel mushrooms this year in some of those fire-scarred areas.
I love morel mushrooms.
Oh, good stuff.
Aren't they like a super expensive delicacy in many parts of the world?
Yeah.
Like it goes like a...
Something like $100 a pound, something like that. Yeah.
Well, morel mushrooms are great, but they're not $100 a pound great.
Yeah, it's kind of like a truffle in that
as far as I'm
regard.
concerned. Nobody knows the truffles that Steve has seen.
That's
I can tell you that
right.
much. Before we move on to the rest of our broadcasting day, a programming reminder. Tomorrow, my guests from the North Central Educational Services District, they're going to be regular guests on this show now. They're going to make an appearance once a month at the behest. We got together, and I said I'd love to have folks from the NCESD on a regular basis. So tomorrow, we'll begin that long series of conversations. Dr. Sue Kane, she's been on the show before, and Pete Phillips will be on the show. They have a big STEM summit, Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math Summit coming up in a couple weeks. We'll talk about that and other cool stuff.
The new superintendent of the new superintendent of the ESD
Michelle,
received a national award recently. As was it one of the top administrators in the country.
Yeah, but she got plaudits from not only Jean Sherritt, but Dr. Richard McBride, her two predecessors. That tells you that she pretty much knows what she's doing.
Yeah.
She's pretty good about that. So they'll be on tomorrow as well. And her conversation with Mr. Mulder, that was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
The one we just aired.
Interesting guy, isn't he? Yeah, it's interesting. I'd never met him before, but a little better acquainted now, knowing that he's got an extensive background in federal law enforcement, both at the Forest Service. He was an air marshal right after 9/11.
Wow.
Which is kind of fascinating as well.
5 candidates looking to replace Keith Gaynor, and these are 5 candidates who are really all over the map. I mean, it's not like you're going to have to. You got 2 people running on the exact same platform. That couldn't even be farther from the truth. Robert Mulder, who's running as an independent, 3 candidates stating no party preference, Bob Boogert, Zachary Miller, and Lee Duncan, and then Sean Smith, the owner of the Walkabout Grill, running as a Republican.
And then again, really the party affiliation really makes no difference in our primary, actually, if you're voting for the person and not the party, because like California, we have a jungle primary. The top 2 finishers in the primary, regardless of party, go on to the general election. So can be kind of interesting.
And a little known fact about primary elections, if in fact they narrow it down from 5 to 2, but if there is a tie for, say, second place, it's best 2 out of 3 falls. And the candidates will be doing it right here on the show. I'm kidding. Let's take a look at your weather forecast for the Wenatchee Valley. Take a look at this, Steve. Look at that. Sunshine, 82 degrees today. You gotta love that stuff. Clear tonight, 58 for the overnight low. Good day to open up the windows, you know, air the house out a little bit. Because just a little bit light breeze, northwest wind about 6 miles an hour, light and variable. We do it again on Thursday, warmest day of the week with a high of 84. Friday, sunshine and 80 degrees. You see Friday night, you see the clouds and the raindrops. That is not going to affect the Wenatchee High School commencement exercises. It will be dry and pleasant all the way through when it wraps up about 10 o'clock on Friday night, so we'll be fine there. And then as you see, it cools down and clouds up a little bit on Saturday and Sunday. Yep.
Yeah.
Steve, we've got about 30 seconds left. Some of the stories you're working on for the news at 5.
Well, the big story, of course, Caitlin and I were up at the SWCC facility yesterday, the Central Washington Interagency Communications Center, which is the dispatch for all the fire in this area. So we'll have a big feature on that coming up later.
It's a rare behind-the-scenes kind of peek because
Really
it's
is. It's probably the best kept secret in the Valley.
Yeah, it's a secure facility. There are good guys, there are pros and
The
gals
largest
too.
of its kind actually on the West Coast.
I did not know that. Wow, you're just a font of information. You're lots of things. Everybody have a great Wednesday. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.